Connecting.
Yay! No, Dick says. Anyway.
All right, it says we're live.
Okay.
I'll just hope we are. Yep, there we go. Anyway,
Good.
hello, and welcome to the Outpost 1018 anime podcast for July, quote unquote, 2023. As per normal circumstances at this point, we had to delay it well into August. But that's all right. We are live now, and we're doing good. So why don't everyone introduce yourselves? I am Neo Tokyo Tempo.
Neko here.
Come on,
Alright.
don't be shy.
Come on, Angelite! Score some fucking goals! Oh, my bad. It's a striker, or Lewis. How's it going, everybody?
From the planet of robots, from the robot empire, I bring you Baron. Just kidding. Trying to be in theme, but yeah, it's Baron.
All right, so for this month, we watched Redline, and Redline is a movie by Madhouse.
That's it.
That is very well known for its quite high quality animation, and
nothing else.
yeah, and it has some races, and
As of car races.
okay, so it has well, it has car races and alien
Yes.
races, but anyway, so the premise
It gives a whole new. I gotta jump in. It gives a whole new meaning to wacky races.
yeah.
Stop
So
it.
so the premise is that there's this like championship underground racing series called Redline, and like the main the final event is called the Redline race, and our protagonist JP wants to win this race, and it takes place in this in this galactic society where there's like hover cars, but they are instead using cars that have wheels on them, even though they go like 500,000 miles per hour apparently. And yeah, that's basically it. Let's just get into this. So
when
we'll
you
talk
say
about,
underground, I'm like, oh, so underground means they have a support of like all the nations in the world, or not world, I'm sorry, universe, except like one. It's still underground.
well, yeah, well, that's what I could gather from what I saw. But anyway, we'll get to that.
They invaded the fucking planet to do the race.
We'll get to
ridiculous.
it.
Yeah, we will.
If I had to sum it up regarding this movie, it's basically wacky. It's basically Hanna-Barbera's Wacky Races on crack cocaine.
With tail ends.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you watching who've already watched One Punch Man, if One Punch Man is your first exposure to Studio Madhouse, I'm talking season 1. It had the great animation and music and stuff. Imagine Hanna-Barbera wacky races. It got drunk at a party, saw One Punch Man, they hooked up, and this is their bastard child. Because it's like
God.
it's like, yeah, the race is about to start, and then like fucking Saitama's music starts playing from One Punch Man. Dun, 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 dun. It's like
Punch Man.
like that doesn't
It's
that
ridiculous.
doesn't okay. That doesn't exactly happen, but the tone is there because it's the same studio. This is their style.
Mhm.
Or a scene that is normally just a normal scene from an anime or cartoon is like cinematic, but it like, you know, there's anime like Jinro or Monster where like, you know, it's semi slice of life, like, even though they're fictional, like, you know, it's lifelike, you know, it's not fantastical. And then you have Studio Madhouse, which is just gorgeous, beautiful. It's like they're like the Miyazaki of action anime. I would argue that because their style is distinctive, they're very talented, and it's like Redline every scene is just detailed and action packed and in your face and just glorious. The music is like the music and the audio and the animation play off each other. It's great.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about its most famous feature, and that is its very, very good animation. So the animation in this, first of all, as far as I can tell, no CGI.
It
Not only that, but it's also fucking hand drawn. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
It's just it's completely hand drawn. They were making that film for like what 6 years or something.
7 years. 7 years.
7
and
years. I'm sorry. Yes.
7 years and 100,000 hand drawn images later. This was
More
the
than
end
that,
result.
actually. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The entirety of this movie, like I was
7
saying,
years.
yeah, it was
Yes,
hand drawn.
The
Well,
dedication
that's,
of those guys are just amazing. Like,
Well, that's it being hand drawn isn't really anything special in anime. Like,
no,
apart from
no,
like
no.
what was it
It is.
animated on cells?
No, because one of the reasons why is because in 2009 there weren't a lot of films at that point, or TV shows even, that were actually hand drawn to begin with. Most of the stuff by 2009, hell, by 2008 really, was all like digital production.
Yeah, this
This
is
was
also-
hand drawn,
Well, yeah,
and I don't mean like
those aren't mutually
old school way.
exclusive.
no, but like the way that production moves now and works now is that you have a artist and they do using like Krita or Photoshop, whatever tools they use, right? The specific software they use for professional application. I forgot how it's called now.
That would be Clip Art Studio.
Yes, exactly. Now they're using that stuff, and they just supplementing the images by touching a few things in that set. So they're basically drawing the main frame, right? And they taking different takes of that frame and changing that specific part. After that, and this is why this animation is so good, is because the old school way of doing that stuff, you do one, and then you do the second animation from scratch. So each frame is completely different, and you have to just keep track of that thing. If anyone watched any documentary films on that, like about Disney, Ghibli, all of that stuff, the way that they're doing that stuff is completely different now.
Well,
Like that's not
all
the
that,
way that they were doing that now. And
all
back
that
in
Ghibli
2008
stuff was on cells, and this is very obviously not.
Well, yeah, but that's a hand-drawn animation anyway. So if they use the same, not technique, but like the same production pipeline, essentially. By 2008, like what is it, 96% of the studios were using the digital equipment at that point. Not even cells at that point, just the digital stuff completely. And the reason why it took so long is because the director of the film wanted that thing to be hand drawn completely.
Yeah, Takeshi Koike was not particularly fond of 3D animation or love it.
He hates the whole thing.
He's will by 100.
Yeah, he hates that stuff. The last thing that he did, if you look at the most recent works, I mean, yes, he did digital thing on like Yasuke, which is was it 2 years ago? Was the first was Afro Samurai thing.
Oh
yeah, it's all digital.
Afro Samurai. He also made. He was also the animator for Yasuke, the Black Samurai, and what else?
Lupin the Third.
Samurai.
Yes. This man is responsible for Afro Samurai. He also worked on Dead Leaves.
Awesome.
Which
Afro Samurai 1 is legendary. Afro Samurai 2 is cash grab, not that good. I don't know if he directed the second one. Second one's horrid.
No.
But yeah, that's awesome.
No,
that's
he
awesome.
didn't. So, but the thing is, every single time people take interview of him, he always shits on him on like a digital pipeline animation because like it's not as good. I can make it work, but it's not as
I
good.
mean, he's not wrong.
Well, yeah, he's not wrong because studios just want to do stuff that is easier to make,
Yeah.
and it's
It
always
is,
a problem.
It is
Always
nice
a problem.
seeing this kind of thing because it's like a lot of times it seems like anime is made for like as cheaply as they can possibly make it.
Yep.
And this goes in the exact opposite direction.
Man, they
It's
spent a lot of money
very
making that thing.
there was an insane amount of man hours that went into this. And there's a lot of detail and designs. There's there's a lot of fluidity in the animation.
The angles
Yep.
of the camera,
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
shots, the frames. Again, this stuff can it be done in the digital form? Yes, not to the same level.
Well, I'm still not entirely sure what you mean by digital because like yeah there's no like 3D, but it's it's not
What
like
I
this
mean-
was made like with
I mean on
animation
paper.
cells.
No, I don't mean like on the cells. I mean like the way that they drawn the whole thing. They redoing every single image essentially, not from scratch, but like they didn't change. Well, they basically were using cell production pipeline, but modifying that a little bit to suit their needs. But they were still not making like, like digital artists using the mainframe and then just modifying a few things here and there.
Yeah.
That's not what they
Well,
did.
what you're saying is that for each frame they made the frame on scratch, but they didn't make it
Yeah.
on cells and did still have
Yes.
to
Yeah.
obviously have to scan it into a computer.
Yeah. Well, they did on the computer, but they used the prior technique that they used
Yeah.
on cell. Yeah.
Uh,
Maybe not explaining that properly, but that's essentially what they did. Now,
yeah.
no one else did that. Why? It takes you so long to damn thing to actually do any of that stuff.
It was so time intensive that Madhouse itself was on the brink of bankruptcy because
yeah.
of this.
Yeah.
They
'Cause
were
were a lot of stuff.
bleeding. They were literally bleeding when it came to their economical situation. And Redline was actually going to be their Hail Mary.
Dude,
And it worked.
Yeah.
like after I found out these guys are responsible for some of my favorite like animes, because remember I recommended we do the for Halloween. I realized Persona is way too many episodes. There was like 2 seasons, and I'm like, oh crud! I signed us up for 2 seasons of Persona. I'm like, what's a good horror anime I like? And we ended up watching
Wicked
A dark-
City and Demon City Shinjuku. As a matter of fact, they actually worked on both of them, if I recall.
yeah, and I remember specifically I really liked the in Wicked City and in Demon City Shinjuku how the lighting they drew the lighting by hand. Nowadays that's
Yeah.
CGI stuff, like the lights passing over the car as someone's driving
Mhm.
through the highway. And the reason I bring that up, it's like, man, I had no idea that was like these guys worked on all these different animes. But here's the thing I want to mention: the only person that I can think of in manga is R.I.P. the guy that worked on I forget I feel bad for forgetting his name, the Berserk dude. Where
Kentaro
he-
Miura.
Yeah.
He refused to publish something if it wasn't done being drawn, and he hand drew everything by detail. And it's like I cannot like you see like I don't usually fanboy, but like to see somebody with that much dedication and talent. Like in Asia, I understand now why they say like somebody is the god of something, and they're not saying the guy's it's like a deity, but it's like, man, this person's an expert on this, and it's just like, wow, these guys really are experts on this on hand drawn animation and drawings.
Yeah, it is very good. Like this whole movie is like a very good argument uh, sort of against the use of the overuse of CGI in anime nowadays, because like stuff that would ordinarily look absolutely abysmal in most modern anime, cars, which is one of the central focuses of the show, um, look pretty great in this. Um, and there's a lot of other things. Like nowadays, you're even starting to see like some like the more some of the character shots being CGI as well nowadays. And when you go back to this, like the animation, like this show is like or this movie is like 14 years old, whatever. The visuals in this like haven't aged a day.
Not only that.
Meanwhile, a lot of shows from just a couple years ago, like even if they did look good when they came out, they certainly don't look good now.
Well, not only that, but it doesn't have, it can't age at all. It's like you're watching Ghibli film, right?
Yeah.
It can't. Like it's you watch what's the film? Spirited Away.
Yeah.
It doesn't age at
Yeah.
all. Like you watch that film, you're like, what? It been like, and it's like what 2004 or something.
2001, 2002.
2001.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Something like that. So it's like the beginning of 2000s. Like it still looks amazing. And you look
Yeah.
at films, even like what is it, Weathering Away or Weathering with You.
Yeah.
It shows his age in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Even
we
if you,
we
yeah.
At one point we reviewed Laputa Castle in the Sky, which is the first Ghibli film, and
It still looks good.
Yeah, it is one
mean-
of the best. I mean, it's not the best looking Ghibli film, but it
Yeah.
it kicks modern anime's ass as far
One of the
as, like,
things that
animation quality.
Keep in mind, this movie came out in
2009.
No, I meant Spirit.
Laputa.
Laputa
I
came
gotta.
out.
Go ahead, and I want to jump in real quick to add something.
Okay, Laputa, if I recall, came out in 1986, 1 year before I was born.
Ooh.
Yeah, this movie is 37 years old, and it still holds up compared to a lot of stuff out there.
RJ, go ahead. I have something to add just in case.
So Laputa is probably like among my top 5 for Miyazaki, but my favorite, which I don't know, I think we got to review it, like hands down. Like I guess like on one of the months that I'm picking, I'm gonna go with Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. I love that so much. Like even people compare the Evas for even Evangelion to the fire giants in Nausicaa.
God.
But my point is, like, Nausicaa is influential for a reason, but what more importantly, as an action anime, as a fantasy action anime, it definitely kicks modern anime in the butt, because modern anime, like don't get me wrong, I love Ray Zero. I love Ray Zero, but you remember the white whale in Ray Zero and how that was CGI?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Bro, it's like, am I watching anime or a 2000s PS2 cutscene?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Oh boy.
Well, let's get
It's coming for us.
let's
CGI.
get
Sorry,
a
go.
little back on track here.
But let me add something as well. One of the things that I have a problem with a lot of people when they sort of misunderstanding like what we mean by it aged very well, because they look at Laputa and it's like, yeah, but it doesn't have as much details. Like, yes, because the resolution of original image wasn't as wide. Like they didn't have like a 4K TV or whatever, right? The resolution was different. But remember, that was made for imperfections for CRT TVs. That's
that,
one
that
thing.
that was a film. That was made for the theaters.
Yeah, but that's the
and
thing.
and
You gotta also
being
remember
on
that
film,
a lot of
it's
people.
perfectly capable of 4K resolution before you start seeing
The artifacts,
uh,
yes.
well,
My
the
point.
artifacts
Yes.
from the
My point
light
is that
compound.
a lot of people watch that thing and they watch not the version that was taken from the theatrical releases, but from VHS restorations. So, like, a lot of people don't get it.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of anime just lost at all due to that conversion to begin with from the basically VHS to the digital.
Oh no,
Because
either one works. Either one works. VCR, VHS.
yes,
I want to
it-
add something.
yeah,
Regarding remasters, not all remasters are good. Like we're gonna go a bit on the western area, but in the case of the original, in the original Disney movie, Sleeping Beauty, it was a lot more detailed than the remasters when it came out.
not remasters, digitization of the original
Yeah,
material.
yeah,
Yes,
the remasterization. Yeah,
and
it has removed a lot of the detail that was done by the animators in
again,
the series.
this is one of the first films that I would say if there was a 4K version of this thing remaster, boy, I would have bought that thing so hard.
Well,
Because it's one of the few films you actually have to watch in like a high resolution, despite its being like hand drawn and stuff. And that, interesting enough, came out the same year as like a Macross Frontier film came out,
yeah,
which also has the same exact thing, but it has CG, 3D CG, and it still looks good. It's the one of the first films where you actually have to watch that thing like a at least 4K or 1080p screen. At 2009, we're talking about, right? Uh, but um, the scenes where you have that 3D CG when you blow it up to 4K, yeah, it does not look as good.
yeah.
So that film was amazing when it came out, but now you look at this, you can see a lot of imperfections. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so a few other comments I have on the visuals. Um, a lot of the a lot of the designs of aliens and some of the cars I thought were a bit goofy. There were a few that I didn't particularly like. Some of them kind of looked like pod racers or like fantasy Hot Wheels cars.
It was more
Well,
or less on that premise.
I mean, that's kind of the point of the show to showcase how ridiculous the whole thing is.
And then
So
like some of the aliens just kind of looked a bit grotesque for my liking. But I did like the use of color. Right now you can see the car from what was his name, JP. His
the Transcend 2000.
yeah, his yellow Trans Am, and when it loops back around, if you're watching, take note of that those like shadows where it's almost like completely black. And you can see it under this chick's arms as well. That's something you often don't see in anime anymore. That they generally stopped doing that after the 90s, where there isn't like where like dark shadows don't really look particularly dark in a lot of shows nowadays. This is much more exaggerated than what you would normally see in the 90s, but it is sort of the same idea, and it makes colors pop very well.
You know, I can definitely tell that the guys who were making who were doing the artwork for the Boondocks and Black Dynamite were definitely watching this movie because I can definitely tell there's some similarities with the latter two. In the case of the animated version of Black Dynamite, which is itself a parody of 1970s blaxploitation films, it has a very similar art style, at least in the case of the shadowing and intense colors, than as Redline.
Yeah.
That show was definitely influenced by Madhouse, despite the fact that it was mostly done by Koreans. The second intro of Black Dynamite itself was actually done by Hiroyuki Imaishi of Trigger fame. It was a joint venture. Yeah.
But you can definitely see that just from looking at some of these images that like what you're supposed to be looking at really pops out from the backgrounds quite like quite pronounced in a way.
Mhm.
And it's definitely it's definitely very striking. It's very good looking, and things are moving like very quickly in a lot of these shots, and it definitely helps quite a bit for the viewer to be able to like see what's going on. That's another thing that I have to praise this for. So a lot of the times in anime, in the action scenes, there's like so much going on that it's kind of hard to like tell what's happening moment to moment because everything's too fast. And while there is a lot going on in this, it seems like they were able to a lot of the times really pace these things out in a way to make it a lot more readable to a viewer.
You can always put up that thing on a pause. Like that's, you know.
Oh well, you know.
That's just me, I guess. But you know.
Well, if there's nothing else to add regarding the animation, we're gonna have to move on to the soundtrack.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh boy.
Because holy fucking shit, I realized there was something that I found very interesting about this one. The guy who worked on this, James Shimoji, also worked on another cult classic. Well, it's a cult classic not in the sense that Redline is, but this man was responsible for the soundtrack of Pepsi Man.
Oh
Yes, for real. This is
The
this-
video
this
game.
yes.
Yes.
That motherfucker did all the songs in that game.
Wow, that's quite a feat, I guess. But it's not bad. I mean,
I love the intro though. I mean, let's
it's
be real.
good. You know, it's okay.
But I'm saying all of the all of the songs were actually composed by that man. Especially especially what's let me check out the name of the
The one I remember is the one that plays with the what is it when the chicks like tune 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 tune
so
tune
yeah
tune.
so
I
yeah
whatever that
so
song is.
yeah in the I
That's
checked
like
Yumi
the
Sanashi
one
or
song that you like remember.
yeah Yellow Line. That is the it actually has two versions. There's an anniversary remix and then there's a okay. The one we're talking about is the signature one, which is called Yellow Line. And
Probably. Yeah.
yeah, that's the one. And then it actually has another one called Redline Day, which is a remix, which adds the female vocal cords.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of.
Whenever Sonoshi shows up, and then when JP shows up, there's a guitar riff or two, and then when it comes to they straight up add a lot of things regarding the it's like everyone has their own theme song, their own take, their own musical style. In
Well,
the
yeah.
if you think about it,
Well,
It
I'm
got-
gonna be honest. I
You didn't
can't
pay attention.
like I can't like picture most of the music in my head. It doesn't really like
It blends in a lot,
yeah, it doesn't really come to mind very much.
which is not necessarily a problem, but it's like you kind of have to differentiate between all that stuff. Hence why I
Yeah.
don't remember one of them. So it's like,
It's not a problem if you don't notice, and it's either really good or really bad if you do.
no, it's a good music. It's a pretty good soundtrack. Is it like the best one? No, but it does what it set up to do, which
It
is
has some bangers.
From what
Yeah.
I remember, it's a lot of like EDM kind of stuff. With
Yeah, a lot of trance. There's also the things for all the other characters in the scene with all the race car drivers. Like for example, Boy and Boss's theme is more bossa nova than anything else. It's like these two came out straight from Space Channel 5.
which is actually where design of the main three chicks comes in actually.
Mhm.
The two like a magical girls chicks and
Yeah.
the main protagonist, the main
Yeah,
heroine.
Sonashi.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the case
Which
of
is
Sonashi,
yeah.
it's legit.
Well,
And
I
the,
mean,
go
look,
ahead.
the thing about her is that the only thing is like it's not it's like what is it 18 plus show because they show like 2 minutes of her being naked, well, topless.
Yes.
It's like okay, beyond that you don't need that label at all. You take that what is
Mm.
it a few seconds out, that's perfectly fine.
There's
I don't get it. Why would you do that? It makes no difference in the show.
Well,
In the,
you know,
no, it's
eh,
just eye
well,
candy.
you know how Japanese animators are sometimes.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
can be a bit perverted, or sometimes a lot perverted. So
Oh yeah, this show has a lot of sex drive at all. Like this one is just it just goes straight into that territory.
yeah,
The moment that they show you the planet of magical girls, which whatever
Yeah.
that means in the film, in that world specifically, it's like yeah, it's a bunch of scantily clad chicks dancing. Which
Yeah.
hey, why not?
yeah,
It's like one of the planets from Space Dandy is basically that.
yeah.
You know.
So as far as like sound effects go, um, it sounded like a lot of it sounded like a lot of the cars were definitely at least somewhat mixed from real engine sounds.
Yeah, one of them happens to sound like an early 2000s era Formula One car, which back in the day they had the B10. And in the case of JP's car on the Trans Am, it sounds like a kart race car, which is as in you know how there was in okay
Yeah,
there
that's
was
you're referring to the
IndyCar.
IndyCar and kart split.
Yes. But back when kart what existed, oh my fucking god, it was insane. Like you had these screaming B8s going at 250 miles an hour on those
Yep.
ovals, doing like 12,000 RPM.
Yep.
It was absolutely batshit.
Yeah, it seems like from what I remember, it had stuff like that mixed in with like some more esoteric, like sci-fi, spaceship kind of sound effects.
It did the worst spaceship sounds, and especially when it came to the boost, the boost scenes.
Which yeah. They just throw that stuff because people needed something excited to look at. Let's be real. I mean, otherwise it makes no sense to put that scene there in the first place.
Oh, by the way, in the system of motorcycles, they were actual motorcycle sounds.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
the hover bikes. Yeah,
Yes, yeah. Only the engines were using anti gravity.
yeah. Wasn't it
engines.
like a Harley engine sound?
No, No, that sounded more like no, it was actually a crotch rocket, basically a Japanese leader bike.
Oh,
But
why do I
but
not?
the other part, but the other part, yes, the other part,
Okay.
yes, it did sound like a Harley B twin.
I don't
It
know
was
why I'm misremembering some of these things. It's only been a few days since I watched it. But anyway,
No worries,
so
it's a lot of taken.
oh yeah, there was a lot going on. Let's say that. Speaking of that, let's just move on to the characters, unless
Oh,
anyone
boy.
has any more takes on sound effects.
If they were appropriate to whatever the film they try to make. Whether or not it actually wanted what they wanted, that's a different question.
well, any thoughts on the explosions though?
The no, like not much in the sound design really pops back into my head when I'm thinking about this.
All right, so
Alright,
if we're talking
characters.
Yeah,
there is a pin.
the main character, the lead protagonist, is a guy named JP, and he's somebody who had been racing since a young age, and with the dream of winning the Redline race. But he this ties into the plot a little bit. He got caught in with the mafia in a race fixing scandal, where he has to lose races on purpose, usually from a blown engine,
Or a bomb.
in order for the mob to make money,
Make money.
betting against him.
Yep. And he had done it before too. So he
Well,
got
we see
caught.
we see the first race in the film doing exactly that.
Yeah, and apparently he has a long history of doing this.
And he's also apparently 20 years old, and he's, wait a minute, a 228 and 1.9 centimeters tall. It's
How?
like 6 feet.
6'4".
6'4", yeah.
Okay.
It's like, he's a. Are we sure he's a human?
I mean, some of that height might be his haircut.
Yeah, fair enough.
He's pompadour.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a good haircut, and he also uses one of those, like one of those flint knives, and instead of a knife, instead of a blade, it's a what
Oh
do you
yeah,
call that?
the switchblade
hair comb. Yeah, switchblade comb.
No, one of my
amazing.
friends from high school had one of those.
It's so good. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's,
So-
there's even a scene where he pulls it out and somebody thinks he's about to like stab him, but he just pulls out and combs his hair.
All right, I'm about to show you guys what his initials actually stand for.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua Punkhead, according to the Redline fandom wiki.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, does it really matter? Not this film.
Well, it's never actually like said in the movie, but rather, okay, considering the man's design, he is actually like a mixture of rockabilly and bososoku, which are the Japanese biker gangs. Bososoku literally means violent running gang.
Yeah, he seems very similar to like greasers in America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Bososoku as a whole is actually inspired by greasers, so there's a lot of similarities there. Right down
Well,
to
yeah,
the
it
motorbike.
was a pretty popular style.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in Japan, they still have them around, actually.
Yeah, they're still around.
Yeah.
Remind me to fix the thumbnail for the podcast. By the way, we got we
What the hell?
We've got the opposite of the pinnacle of hand animated animation. You know,
Oh.
Redline is the pinnacle of it. Instead, we have
well,
Yakitori.
well, I didn't mess with the thumbnail at all.
No, I could fix that. I just found it funny because Yakitori is definitely not, pinnacle
No,
of hand drawn.
no way. And you will suffer for this. Remember that. I mean, the very like a splash screen for the film is him in the car extending his hand forward on the wheel, sitting in that race chair, and his hair goes right up against the title. It's amazing. So good.
But like, what about like him as a person though?
Nothing.
He's not exactly
No
one.
substance.
Besides being a womanizer and well, not really much of a womanizer. He
he is
doesn't
a
like
womanizer.
to. Yes, he's not exactly one to pick fights unless it's he's provoked. So
Yeah,
Look.
well, there's like a little bit to like flesh him out, because he wants to be this racing champion, but he's caught up in this match fixing stuff, or this race fixing stuff, and there's some stuff about him like him looking up to an idol as a child, but I don't even know who that person is.
It's not really established. It's someone who wins a lot of race and has all the chicks. Maybe his father or something.
Yeah. Well,
We do not know. And it's not sad. It's just this film is a lot more show not tell, or
Yeah.
show rather not explain.
Well, there's
you know.
definitely well there definitely isn't much to him though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a one man style essentially.
Yeah, let's
Yeah, okay.
move on to McLaren.
Oh,
Sonoshi.
Sonoshi.
yeah. The
McLaren
chick.
Sonoshi.
Cherry Boy Hunter. That's what her nickname is.
Oh my lord.
As in, she pops cherries, even though she actually doesn't.
Oh, oh. Well, she probably got her cherry popped by the GP anyway at the end of after the end of the film.
Sonoshi has the most backstory considering all the or most of the scenes
Yeah,
go towards her as the daughter of a race car driver who is also a junk dealer. So she was racing right from the very start.
yeah.
Well, again, like with Sonoshi, there's a lot of characters in older anime that are like her, just like with JP. But also just like with JP, there isn't really that much fleshing out her personality. From what I can tell, she's kind of sort of like this aloof kind of Faye Valentine almost kind of character, except she doesn't like have like very much depth to her. There isn't like there isn't much complexity there. But it is sort of that thing where at first she appears like this very aloof femme fatale type of woman, but as it turns out, but you find out later that she has much more like kind heart to her. But other than that, we don't know too much about her. Or at
Talking
least
about,
we don't
we're-
know
we're-
too much about like her personality.
we talking
Well-
about Cherry Hunter Boy. I'm sorry, Cherry Boy Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did it
Okay,
on
so
purpose.
yeah, another thing is we also find out that she's actually a massive softie. Back when she started, back when she was little and the main character was little, she wanted to be a racer, and even though people were cheering her on, she was really insecure about it. And like you find out as a kid she was a softie, and then as an adult she's still a softie, even though she has this like exterior of confidence.
Yeah, she's like she's basically like this she well oh fuck I'm losing track of my mind right now. Basically, Sonoshi is like a tomboy in a sense because I mean if you consider what she deals with, she's a fucking mechanic, she's a race car driver. That's not usually something that a girl would actually take part of regarding getting into motorsports.
Well, I mean, she's a green hair and short, so like,
Apparently it
duh.
says here apparently that she is oh wait, that's not even confirmed. Never mind. Yeah,
Well,
so I was watching the dub as well, and I knew her voice sounded familiar.
oh
Hey,
god, Ruth
why?
McKell, come on,
Yeah, Michelle Roth.
Ruth McKell of all people.
Michelle
She's the
Roth
one.
herself.
Yep. She is the chick who voices Mina Fujiko and Kirishiki Rikai from Bleach and
Oh,
Lupin the Third, obviously.
hold up. I know English is not your first language, but you mean Rukia? Yeah, you mean Rukia Kuchiki from Bleach,
Oh, Kuchiki, yeah, I mispronounced the name, sorry.
dude. There's also the fact that she was also the voice of Yoko Littner in Gurren Lagann.
No, she did the Asaru Shino from Sword Art Online. Come on, that's the best role.
Dude, I remember her mostly because of those roles. Because well, I did watch Gurren Lagann back in the early 2000s. This
I
chick
mean,
is a
she was
parent.
also were voicing Saber from like Fate Apocrypha, so it's like,
Hmm.
duh. Also, she was voicing Mari from Pokemon Generations.
Oh,
It's like,
I
okay,
know I know we didn't mention this when we were talking about JP, but we have Patrick Seitz as his voice actor in the English dub,
yeah.
who of all things we know he voices Zangief in the Street Fighter games. Besides All Might in My Hero Academia, I know Josh is into that shit.
Well, let's talk about
But
Frisbee.
Yeah. Now let's go back to her, I guess. Although there's nothing to her in the first place. I would describe
but
her
yeah,
as a good okay, people kind of say hate me for saying this. So, you know how Marvel effed up the Captain Marvel with having all the story. Her story is based in the sense that her story is basically this, where she gets back up and learns how to deal with that stuff. At least in the flashback.
yes.
This is how you do female characters. At the very base minimum, you set her up to be this sort of a female character that actually does something and does that stuff well, and then you explain why she's doing that stuff. It is very basic, but in my opinion, what they did here is effective enough for that kind of show, for this kind of film.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So,
you don't go away from the show saying that all the characters are like, oh, they suck, oh, they don't explain. No, they give you enough stuff to explain the characters and what they want and what they do and why they do that stuff. But they don't try to over-explain stuff other than visuals. So they explain too much, but they show you, which
Yeah.
good and the bad at the same time. But when it comes down to next characters, take it away.
Yeah. So I was gonna talk about Frisbee because he's really the only other character that's really worth talking about.
Yep.
Is nobody else really gets much screen time. So Frisbee is JP's mechanic slash crew chief. And he generally he's been working with JP for a long time, and eventually, in order to get in order to get better engines for JP's car, he ends up getting mixed up with the mafia and turns into the brains behind the match fixing or the race fixing scandal. Um, and he for most of the movie, he's portrayed as being a very shady kind of guy, very dishonest. Um,
Well,
but he like he seems to like start. He seems to develop second thoughts about the whole thing, like basically right at the end of the movie.
it's not that he's dishonest. Like the JP knows that the whole deal, so it's not dishonesty. It's just like he knows where
Well,
the bomb
he's
essentially
portrayed
is.
as dishonest. It's
Oh,
not
okay, fair enough.
necessarily that he's lying to JP. Um,
I
it-
got
it-
away from the expression that like GP knew that there was a bomb in the first race, or well, before that anyway.
Mhm.
So he's more of a brakes on GP's crazy, like, I want to win this race, and he stops him because they need money and stuff. So, and GP kind of knows that.
yeah. Yeah. Like I'm not saying he's lying to JP. I'm just saying that he's portrayed as dishonest in general. And it kind of pans out for most of it that he is being very he is being a very shady kind of individual, because like even in the Redline race, he still initially like makes the deal with the mafia, and only goes back on it in like the last second.
So, interesting enough, in the case of Frisbee, his boys in the I was watching both of them. So you got Tadanobu Asano, who the guy is a film actor in Japan, very famous in Japan, as a matter of fact. But here's the thing: he rarely ever does voice acting for anime, let alone anything animated. His other voice acting role in animation was actually in the 2004 cut of Castle in the Sky,
Yeah,
and
he's an actual actor to begin with, so he's not,
Liam O'Brien was his English voice actor.
Yep. No, I'm not
And
Asano. He's an
yeah,
actual voice actor, so he's sorry, he's actual like actual actor.
yes,
And he does voices films for like the Japanese market,
hmm
but he also in the TV shows and stuff. So
yeah. And in the case of what is a famous role that this dude that his
Liam
English
O'Brien,
yes, I know
he-
he voices Gara as well as
I mean, he's
fuck,
probably best known for was it Gara? Yeah, Gara from Naruto.
yeah.
I mean, maybe Yuri Petra from like a Tony and Bugger. Oh, he is also voicing the Jujiro from Bleach, the white-haired dude.
Oh,
And
okay.
he also voiced the Archer from like a 2010 Fate Stay Night.
Oh, he was Archer's voice actor.
Yeah,
Forgot about that.
not the new one, but the 2010.
Oh, yeah.
He also voiced the Reza from Slayers.
I'll be real with you when it comes to Slayers. I haven't got past like seven
Fair enough.
episodes in the first season, and that was on
Slayers?
ADV's. That was in the that was
We
on
talking
ADV.
about we're talking about the one where the intro is like catchy and somebody made
Yes.
a JoJo Yeah, okay.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, yes.
Sorcerer
Yeah,
Slayers.
Rizzo.
Yeah, yeah.
He also voiced Red 13 in Final Fantasy 7 Advent Children. I don't know if you remember that thing.
What the hell?
Yeah. So, anyway, that's whatever. It's not important anyway.
All right.
So have we talked about music and also how awesome the fucking music and sound is?
We're
Okay.
we're a little past that. We've just finished talking about the characters.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
and
saying, have you guys noticed everything? Like the world, the characters, the music. It's like you're like peering into another reality, even though like everything's animated. It's just so well fucking done. I don't know how to put it.
all right.
But
It all
still-
flows. It all flows together. You know what I mean? Like not every anime can do that. Some anime can, some can't. But some of them, like this one, do it really well. You get what I mean? Like
Say hello to UFO table. Hello.
Yeah. So let's move on to the plot. And this
Oh, there are a lot of plot.
this is yeah, there's too much. This is where this show starts to lose me. Because I do not like that it for about half of this show or half of this movie. I could not tell what on earth was going on.
Well,
It seemed
sort
like
of.
there were like 20 different subplots that didn't seem to have much to do with JP or the race. And it seemed like there wasn't enough time to really like have proper setups and payoffs for these different plot lines. And it felt like a lot of these different plot lines were just kind of are just kind of like things that just kind of happen in the movie. And it really was just like too much happening in too short of a time, and there just wasn't enough time to like explain what's happening, why it's happening, and what it has to do with JP and the race.
Here's the thing. I think there's a few payoffs in the film, other than you look at the plot of the chicks that are like on display. But the thing is, I think there's a few payoffs actually. One is when Magical Kingdom, I don't know, like a frigate or whatever the hell that thing was, splashed red something on the ground of the planet, and it became like a finishing line. So that's one payoff.
Oh
Yeah.
you mean the ship?
Yes.
Well,
The
like
ship becoming its own straight.
Yes,
Wait.
they just squirted that thing on the planet and it just rose up.
well, even with that happening, there it was kind of hard to understand what that was or what that meant, because
That's
the-
not the point.
the,
There's
uh,
nothing to understand.
but because
That's what I'm
the,
trying to explain to you. It's all in service of animation. There's nothing else here. And the other one
yeah,
is
but that's my
him
problem with
kissing
this
the girl
movie,
at
though.
the end. That's pretty much it. That's the other payoff. That's it.
Well, yeah, but that's my problem
just-
with this movie, though.
But here's the thing. The entirety of this film, the entirety of 146 minutes of this thing, minus credits scene, whatever, in service of showing you that, yes, we can, fuck you, don't like it, blow me. That's what it's all about.
Well, you
It's a throwback to like 80s anime boom, big budget, well, relatively big budget films where there is no plot, there's just animation. And
well,
the
I found
point
that
of the
those
whole thing
animated
was to
movies. I found that most 80s anime movies have a story that's just fine.
Yeah, but that's not a red line. Their point was different. They were like, we can, and fuck you, we can basically.
Well, I mean, you
Like,
you can make
they
a,
wanted to
you
prove that.
can make a movie with like basically no plot. You're probably gonna make a pretty bad movie though.
Well, yeah, look at Marvel films. But here's the thing. The problem that I had with this film, and I just rewatched that thing, and I didn't watch that thing for the last 10 years. I just rewatched that like today before for this show, um, twice actually. And what I got out of this is two things. First, it's amazing in terms of what it tries to tell you, but it doesn't tell you anything other than look at me. It has all the right bits, all the right things up until a very last 5 minutes of the show. And the reason is because, well, few. One, there is no fucking ending for this thing. It just ends.
Yeah,
It
it's kind of like
it just
the,
stops.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
basically-
the ending to Monty Python and the Holy Grail. They just
Yeah,
get
but-
they just get arrested and then the movie stops. It's kind of like
Yeah,
that,
but
except
that's the
it's
comedy.
except it's
Yeah.
a happy ending.
This
Ending
one-
on a cliffhanger.
They
It's the-
cross the finish line and then
And that's it.
suddenly it's the credits basically.
Oh no, they kiss and there's a big giant sign of love
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's the end, and that's it. That's all it is. But here's the thing. That's one reason. Second reason, because I'm a dumbass and I thought that I was watching Tail Enders, because I swear to remember the long scene about how JP and that chick go into this infinite plane of nothingness at the lights past the light speed to whatever
Well, they
end goal they have.
they
But
do
it
go
got-
they do go
Yes.
into an infinite plane of nothingness. It's called the ending credits.
Yes. But the thing is, every single single thing that this film does in terms of story is Tail Enders what it's supposed to be. And it came out the same year actually. So this thing doesn't have a plot. It has characters and they're vivid and they're
Well,
likable
I mean,
and
it
they're
has
awesome.
it has a plot. In fact, the problem is not that it doesn't have a plot. The problem is it has too much plot.
It has too much. So we have the race, we have this the cars, we have all the
We have
characters'
this
personal
massive
stories.
thing of like interplanetary politics
Yes.
that is barely explained at all. We
No,
like
they
there's like
explain that.
there's like a couple throwaway lines telling you why they don't want the race on Robo World.
Because it's like the pride and stuff like this.
Well,
and
it's
like,
it's something
fuck
about pride and them not wanting the cameras to see their secret military tech or something.
yeah.
Yeah, basically,
it-
basically all the secret military areas are on that, are in fact on that field, in that very field, especially Funky Baby, which is the
Oh, God.
Which is
bioweapon.
about the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You wanna
I-
know what? You wanna know what else is retarded? Fun fact: Funky Baby is the son of the Colonel Bolton, as in yeah, for real. I just found out.
Like my mind cannot register that they would make like bioengineer a kaiju and call it Funky Baby, so I keep forgetting.
Because why
Dude.
not?
Dude, this is from the
I
same
mean, this
country where you. This is coming from the same country, and I mean you Americans that dropped 2 bombs with the name Little Boy, Little Boy, and what's
Okay.
it, Fat Boy?
Batman.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, but
Batman.
those names made sense. One of the bombs was smaller than the other, and the other was really big, plump, and round.
Dear listeners, you can tell we did watch Oppenheimer.
Uh,
I haven't
I
watched
have
Oppenheimer,
not-
but I
I've not
forgot.
seen-
I forgot the names. I
I've
forgot
not
the
seen a
names.
Hollywood movie in like almost
Here-
10 years.
I literally do not care. But here's the thing. This is perfectly fine thing to turn your freaking brains completely away and for hour and 46 minutes to sit in a damn theater on this giant ass screen and just forget about everything that is going on outside of the fucking theater, period. at all.
I just wanted to jump.
I find
Or you watch that thing, you turn off the screen, it is just a pure entertainment. It's just enjoy what's going on. It's a pure chaos.
I need it.
This is the
I find
reason why.
I find that the whole turn your brain off thing is not
You
not
can't, I
compelling
know.
to me in the slightest.
I mean, neither.
But
I
when,
literally.
when something
my brain off.
whenever something that's kind of turn your brain off thing happens, like whenever I watch something like that, I just end up being bored, confused, and just kind of annoyed.
No, they give you enough story to prop you.
Let me jump in real quick. Let me jump in real quick, dude. Come on.
Go on.
I wanted to say two things, and now I want to add what you just said. I want to say two things about the funky baby thing. One, reminded me of the embryo, Nazca Valve the Wind, the one that they prematurely try to use. After it fires off a laser, it fucking croaks and dies.
Oh,
Funky
no.
baby reminded me of that. Then the second thing is the movie's just like Space Dandy. It's got a rockabilly thing going. So when he got funky baby, like it's just imagine Elvis saying that and the Japanese going, all right, that's a good character name.
Yeah, well, they don't know how stupid that sounds in English.
I mean,
It doesn't matter.
the 80s and 70s didn't know how stupid those terms would sound later.
Look,
Dude.
the people who made this film cared only about the art form, and they don't want that thing to become obsolete. Now, obviously, the technique that they use, all that stuff, we can't discuss. But the way that they made that film specifically, and the story fits that showcase. The only thing that they legitimately fucked up on is the ending, because they 5 more minutes. That's all it needed. 5 more minutes. Make it
The ending
hour
actually
and 50
kind of
minutes.
upset me. I'm not kidding. While
It
I'm
doesn't
like,
have any.
yeah, while I'm gushing over the film, I get it. It's a cute ending. It's romantic. The Muhammad Ali stand-in, the cyborg guy who like makes his body into the fucking car for the race.
Yeah, Iron Man.
I think
messaging.
I think they needed like another hour, or they needed to drop some of the subplots.
No.
Yeah, no.
All
they
right.
definitely did.
Here's the thing. If
Hold
they
on.
did, that would not be showcasing what they can do with the hand-drawn animation period.
But they did showcase
The
what they
whole
can
sequence
do with the
with
fucking
the,
races, though.
No. No, because they use different techniques for the whole thing. Then when you have this battle of kaiju, essentially, that's completely different from what you can show on the racetrack, essentially.
All right,
And
let
that's
me.
what they try to do. This is about art form, not necessarily. You need a story. You need
But
a
you
character.
do
Although
need a
they have them,
story.
obviously. Not necessarily.
Yes, you do.
No.
It's a movie. You need a story.
Well, you have a plot. You have a story here.
Yeah,
It's just
you
that
have a story that had like way too much
Incomplete,
crammed into
yeah.
it. It didn't make any sense.
yeah, but it doesn't have to.
Yes, it does.
It has. Does it have a story? Yes. Whether or not it makes sense, that's a different story completely.
Yeah,
All
whether
right.
or not it makes sense is going to directly affect the quality of the piece.
Look, I'm the guy here who brought out Tail Enders. It's the exact same thing as this, but it doesn't have the animation, but it has a plot story. So, it's not the perfect film. It has whatever story they could, but again, that ending is the only thing that is legitimately ruining the whole thing. Because, well, not ruining, but it's really dragging that thing really, really badly.
Hero, can I please say my piece about that ending? Because I have a couple of
Go
things to say. This ending was a blockbuster, and no wonder I actually forgot about that part. This because I watched this movie somewhere around 2013 or something. And honestly, though, this ending leaves more questions than answers. Like, what the hell happened to JP and Sanashi? What happened to Machine Head Tetsujin? What happened to Mole? You know, the old guy who's hanging around with oh god, what was with Frisbee? What happened to the planet? I know the general. I know the dude turned into a kaiju and died. Yes, but here's the thing: were they dead in that explosion? Did they just magically ass pull that fucking part where they started running besides Machine Head on the finish line?
They had to finish the thing.
Yeah,
And instead of doing,
I know that Madhouse were. I know Madhouse was in the fucking shitter economically because after this, partly because of this movie. I know they ran out of budget for the ending, but maybe 10 to 15 minutes tops. That would have solved a lot of questions that are limited on a fucking cliffhanger, and that's one of the things that actually annoys me about these movies. The fucking cliffhanger ending. Sorry, the ending. Really.
But by that point in time, I had no more questions because I didn't care anymore.
Oh yeah. RJ wants to talk about the Batman of the series, also known as Lynch Car and Johnny Boy.
The Batman of that universe, because the friggin' so I'm sure you guys know who Beavis and Butthead are.
Yes.
So
here, I'll put them on screen real quick.
So Trava Fist Planet was the first movie in that universe. Redline is the defining and main movie. It's amazing in comparison. I mean, Trava is like a '90s anime. It's a showcase as well. It's an OVA that just showcases their art abilities, and it's a sci-fi. Oh, then you got these guys. Just the ridiculousness of these guys in that shared universe. If you want to play the GIF, go ahead. It's funny as hell. But like it's basically Batman and Robin if they were psychotic bounty hunters, while simultaneously being Beavis and Butthead.
RJ, you know what I realized when I was looking up these two characters? In the case of Johnny Boya, he's voiced by Keith Silverstein. Now, this guy, fucking Nassim from Skyrim.
Oh.
Yeah. Not only that, yes, I'm saying this.
Oh man. Okay.
All right.
That's a deep cut.
Real quick, brothers. Okay, so you know the whole thing with like the subplot with like Colonel Voltan and the fucking robot empire dudes and stuff, how they're trying to stop the race because they claim that the race is an infringement of their airspace and that we're not allowed to have that race here because this is our territory, blah blah blah.
Yep.
And you know the race organizers are like ha 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 legality.
Yeah, what a silly thing. This is basically a, you know, like when Japan has a ban on like street racing, it's like this film is basically giant fuck you to them. That's what it is.
It would make sense. Yeah.
Or just
that boomer mentality of you can't do that because I don't want it here. Hold up, just really quick. I gotta say this. So these two, the race organizers and the other racers, they ask these two. I'm sure the race organizers paid them to do it.
Well,
like, hey, so the Robot Empire military, they've got this orbital cannon that's got an alarm system, and if we have the second half of the race or whatever it was in this specific territory, these like I think there's these plains they were gonna race over, like these this area, these dunes and stuff. And they're like, if we race over there, they're gonna open fire with that cannon. So so friggin' Lynchman and Johnny Boy, aka Twisted Batman and Robin, they infiltrate the space station and put C4 in key structural areas and go kaboom, killing everyone. Yes. It's like, yeah, okay, we're good. Let's go back to racing.
Yeah.
They're like, just fuck it, let's do whatever we can.
Imagine, Kevin
Again,
Conroy.
The
Imagine,
reason why
like, imagine animated series Batman in a Hanna-Barbera race going,
oh god.
Robin, they're gonna shut down the race if we let them keep that cannon. I need you to sneak in and put some C4 in some key structural areas.
Yeah, the Batman and Robin, if they were based.
Batman and Robin, if they were actual mad lads.
Yeah,
And again-
Batman and Robin after reading Kaczynski once.
Oh god. Okay.
Robin, you don't understand.
But here's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Even that scene
Neko,
shows
hold
you
up, hold
like
real quick. It's like,
what's up?
Robin, you don't understand. It's not about following traffic laws. It's just that the moment you start following traffic laws is when you can't race anymore.
Oh,
No.
gee.
That's what I'm saying. Like, every single thing of that film is in surface of not the story. Fuck that. Of the surface of showing you different types of animation they can do and different creativity they can bring to the table.
And,
This is just
what,
it's a space racer on steroids or crack, really.
and what
Agreed.
you get when you do such a thing is
When you do crack?
you get a movie where a bunch of stuff happens and
Yes.
you end up not caring about anything that actually does happen, and you end up just being kind of bored.
Well, you. I wasn't bored. I mean,
Not me
Why did I
neither.
center
this is
that?
this is
Same.
pure visual chaos. That's what it is. This the whole film. There's nothing else. Well, there's a bits of story there, and characters and specifically plot. A lot of those.
Yeah, but the rest is basically just
Yes.
just
Yeah.
throw C4 and fuck it. Let's see what happens.
You throw the hand grenade animation soup, and that's what you get.
There is a YouTube
And that's
animation.
and this is the reason why that film completely failed at box office. It only made like $8 million box office for a budget of like, I don't know, 40 or something.
Fuck.
And we're talking like 2009. Well, 40 by some estimates, because they were making that film for like what, 6 years, 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah, it's basically one of the best examples of from
Okay.
not
Heroes.
Studio Ghibli that you can think of. It's a grown-up anime, but not for kids or grown-ups. It's fun. It's beautifully drawn. It's gripping because it has a lot of action. It doesn't have any two brain cells to rub around with, but who really cares if it's fun? Like, this is pure joy fun. This is nothing to do with
But it's not fun though.
Okay.
It's
Two things. 30
I
million
feel like
budget.
when I watch it, I feel like I just have like somebody's dangling keys in front of my face and expecting me to like clap like a seal.
Let me guess. You actually felt condescended to when you were watching this movie.
No,
Kind of. A little
no,
bit.
it's perfectly fine. It's like it's basically Takeshi Koike, sorry. It's his declaration and middle finger to every single cookie cutter bullshit that we have seen for a long fucking time. Not now, but back then.
But like I
It's
respect.
just to extend a middle finger and say, fuck it, we're doing that stuff. It's not a committee. It's not a cookie cutter. We're doing it. You know,
I
that's
respect
all it is.
that, but I don't think the movie is very good.
All right.
Well-
Actually, the movie was $30 million in a budget. 8.2,
Okay, yeah.
and I remember it was a limited. It was a limited release too, at least in the West.
Yeah, but in Japan it was like they pushed that thing a lot.
Damn.
But but that thing, it didn't make enough money.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap this up real quick.
Yeah, let's go there.
We don't have oh yeah, I forgot to mention we do not have Josh this month, and we will not have him for the foreseeable future. He's going through some personal trouble. So that's why he's not here. But since we don't have Josh, why don't you do your final thoughts? And please, I know people like to interject. Please do not interject when people are doing their final thoughts.
All right, who's doing that first?
You.
Me? Oh boy, putting on the spot. Here's the thing. It has a good music. It has the plots, if you know what I mean. It's not for it's not for kids. It's a pure 17 plus. There's a female nudity, blood, violence, suggested themes, all this stuff. It's 102 minutes of pure joy of like absolute insanity. It's a space racer, wacky racer, F0X or whatever on crack. It's exactly what you really need after just like forgetting all the stupid shit that you're dealing with in the first place. Outside of that theater thing that you want, or that screen that you're watching that thing into, pure escapism, no holds bar. Period. It just does exactly what it needs. Now, the ending is the only real thing that drags it down really badly because it doesn't have any. It just ends on both characters kissing and finishing the race. That's all it is. I would, as of rating, I mean, out of 10, I begrudgingly give it probably 8. Maybe 8.2, but let's say 8. This is decimals points, I guess. Because only ending. It's the only thing that I dislike about this film. That's it. That's all it is. Otherwise,
Okay.
huge recommend.
All right.
Sorry.
Striker.
Oh my lord. Well, this is my pick for this month, so I guess I have to do this. Yeah, I actually agree with Neko here regarding the movie being an absolutely visceral experience when it comes to being a batshit insane version of Hanna-Barbera's Wacky Races. Besides Dead Race 2000. Fun fact though, this movie was actually inspired by Wipeout of all things. And yes, Wipeout was the direct inspiration for this movie.
PlayStation game.
Yeah.
Now that being said,
Wow, my favorite racing game on PlayStation inspired this movie.
Yeah.
oh,
You all.
you
No
bet.
wonder I fucking love it so much.
All right, okay, guys. Okay,
Sorry.
I would honestly say, having rewatched this movie in both the Japanese and English dub, I could honestly say this is one of the rare intentions of the dub. Well, at least the dub's not bad in comparison to the Japanese. It's not that the Japanese legit sounds. Here's the thing: the Japanese voice of JP legit sounds like a Yakuza member, which of course, because the guys work with the mob and everything. In the English one, Patrick Sites straight up goes full rockabilly on that guy. All right, so I've been meaning to review this movie for well over at least 5 out of 7 years that we've been doing this podcast, because it is, even though it is not a big box office success, it is a cult classic. And if there's something that we can learn from cult classic films, is that some cult classic films have charm, and some of them are straight up remembered. I pretty much had to say the ending. Yeah, the ending softballs. The ending led a lot of more things to ask than. How should I say this? The ending left more questions than answers, and that was something that I didn't actually like about it. Regarding the art style, it is absolutely fucking phenomenal. And honestly, regarding the car design, some of the vehicle designs are absolute best. Yes, there are some Hot Wheels. There's some you have some White Palace influence. There's also some F-Zero. Yes, of course. Everything that was said about this movie. But here's the thing: this movie is not perfect. It has its flaws. The plot is in fact. I am actually willing to agree with Will. The plot is actually not very deep, and well, you can only go so far with just eye candy and batshit insanity. Like, here's the thing: Madhouse is that one studio that shows up with a kilo of cocaine and straight up does it on the spot.
Oh yeah, that scene happens twice actually, and the second
Yeah.
time he gets it out of fucking titties or something.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
amazing. It's so good.
Yeah,
It's so good.
I do remember reading about how Koike-san is actually one of his role models is Quentin Tarantino. Hence,
Mhm.
why this movie has a bit of Quentin Tarantino influence into it. This is one of the very few movies that it's more of a dying breed than anything else regarding hand drawn anime. This is there a score I want to get this movie without shilling it?
Go ahead. Just embrace
Okay.
it.
It's fucking great. It is one of my personal favorite. It is actually one of my personal favorite animation movies, and for good reason. The and especially the Cadillac that the mob member drives. I want that thing. I want to build something like this. And I know, definitely, definitely 7.5 out of 10 because it may not be perfect, but it gets the job done. If you want some stupid fun. And it really is one of the greatest cult classics of all time. In fact, it is one of the greatest movies that Madhouse has ever made, and it will forever be a masterpiece in its own right.
Amen.
All right.
Okay, let's go.
RJ.
All I gotta say is you probably saw this coming. I want to give it a 10 out of 10, but I don't want to look like a fanboy.
Go ahead.
Can I give it a point? 9.8 or something?
Yeah.
Well, let's do without decimals because that's kind of.
Well, we
know.
already got 7.5 in there.
Oh, okay, fair enough. All right, give it a
I'll do
whatever.
9.8, just 0.2 minus because I'll make the point. The storytelling has to be more cohesive. Now, I could understand the film perfectly. But to me, it's like, oh, this is a slice, this is a look into that reality. You know, the average audience member isn't going to do that. And when I do reviews on Outposts for games or even other media, I actually do deduct points even when I like something. I notice something will not appeal to the average audience member. So I try to be fair in that sense to the audience because it's like, oh, well, I like it. If you don't like it, you know, I don't do that nonsense. Yeah, 9.8. I'll deduct like point.
Oh, God.
All right.
I mean, what, you want me to do 0.5?
All right.
No,
all
it's
right,
just you're dunking on someone here. I'm just not gonna tell on someone. So
all
go
right.
ahead.
So, like, as like an animation showcase, it is it is phenomenal.
I wanted to say one more thing too.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I thought I was waiting for him to, yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention is I really like the flow of the animation. Like for my first time watching it was on YouTube when YouTube was like handing out free movies. It wasn't some random person uploading. The publisher had uploaded the movie alongside a couple other publishers. Like Gonzo is another publisher. They uploaded a bunch of their shows for free. And this is like early 2010s. I saw Redline on YouTube for the first time, and I didn't really appreciate it because I was watching it in 480p. Then I watched it in full HD, and I'm just like, this is amazing because I started noticing the level of detail. Because I thought it was just, oh, that's cool, I guess. But then I saw it in the actual resolution of the drawings, and I went from meh, it's okay to wow. So it's got character, and that's lacking in a lot of anime these days. I don't know if you guys can agree. Like season 2, One Punch Man. We brought up One Punch Man, which season 1 is Studio Madhouse. Season 2, One Punch Man is exactly that. I mean, a step up from that is Ray Zero. Like, oh yeah, it's good animation. It's got shitty CGI. So we've got crappy animation and then good animation with CGI. That's it. That's it. Like,
Yep.
and then let's not even like talk about like Yakitori, where it's like all crappy CGI.
RJ,
You're
to
gonna
be
suffer for this stuff. You do realize that, right? We're gonna beat the shit out of you for that, right?
RJ, to be fair, they ended up switching animators because Madhouse ended up giving the animation test to A1 Studios. And then by season 3, Mappa's going to be doing the 3rd season of One Punch Man.
Yeah.
I am actually ashamed to admit that I ended up dropping the 2nd season of One Punch Man halfway through because I didn't like where it was going.
All right. RJ,
Go ahead.
is that your
Yeah, no, just that, and I really liked how it was from beginning to end. Because it's just in your face, and then it calms down and has a crescendo, and boom, it ends. But it could have had a better ending, sure. Like the ending left me a little empty the first time I ever watched it, and then the second time I watched it, I still felt a little bit empty. But having watched it a couple times now, it's grown on me. So yeah, I guess that's it. It's just
All right.
it's got character. I like it.
All right,
It's
go
very
ahead.
good.
All right. So, as an animation showcase, Redline is absolutely phenomenal. It's the animation is extremely well detailed. It is very well done. There's a lot of character to it. There's very unique sense of like direction to how they design things. Basically, everything about the animation is really good. And if this was just like if this was just like a 20-minute like reel of like animation and not really anything more, it probably like I probably wouldn't really have much of an issue with it. The problem is that it's also a movie. And that like that's my problem with it. And as a movie, it just has like too many things going on and not enough time to explain it all, or even in some cases even breathe. And the result is that it just kind of feels like a series of things happening alongside like things happening between two races alongside a acceptable like love story subplot. And like a lot of it does kind of feel like they just kind of threw in things that they liked. That's kind of what the Magic Girl planet kind of felt like. That's what that kaiju battle kind of felt like. There's also a lot of stuff that just comes out of nowhere. Like there's like a soldier that just like suddenly turns into a kaiju with a throwaway line explaining what's happening like a couple seconds before it happens. And there's there's so many of like these scenes, these plot elements that just happen that I really can't like I can't even like think of them all off the top of my head. And to be honest, a lot of it just kind of washed over me. And like I didn't like a lot of the there were a lot of points in this movie where I just didn't know what was going on. And it's not like I can't like follow a complex plot or anything like that. I absolutely can. It's just it just wasn't done very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a 6.5. I hold story in a very high regard, and I don't think, I think the story in this really brings it down. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Let me just do the math here. All right, so that gives us a score total of 7.95, and the score on Mal is 8.28.
IMDb score is 7.5 as well.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. It's very rare where like in between IMDb and Mal, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like usually we're actually lower than both of them.
Well, because we fear on this film, I guess. We recognize that flaw, and all of the other people, they can, because they're stupid. You know. We're the smart ones.
Well, anyway.
Let me pat myself on the back.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was the anime podcast for quote unquote July for Outpost 1018. I hope everyone.
Now.
What was that?
It's August now. Don't tell them.
That's what the quote unquote
We
was
had
for. But anyway, so I hope everyone has a good night. We'll see you hopefully at the end of August. If not,
we will.
then we'll see you when we see you. So everyone have a good night. Bye everyone.